Down my volume.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us on the web. This is Get the You Factor. We're going to be getting started and going live here in just a few seconds.
Time to go live.
For you at 408-504-9777. That's 408.
Oh, that's my cell.
I think I got about 7 seconds.
Yeah, but he just said my cell number, 408-504-9777. That's my cell number.
We're going live. What is it that holds you from achieving greatness? Does greatness just come to those that are struck by lightning or have just hit that lucky streak? What really does make people achieve everything they want out of life? These questions span across the globe as millions of people settle into their life thinking that they don't have what it takes to truly get what they want out of life. Simply put, most people just give up on their dreams and aspirations to move forward with their repetitious habits that have been cemented around their lifestyle. Is this because they don't have what it takes to achieve their goals? The answer is no. You do have what it takes to accomplish anything you truly desire, and it starts with finding your inner you. With Get the You Factor, we go step by step in educating you on the key principles to achieve anything you want out of life. By tapping into our resources and following along with our weekly broadcasts, we will guide you through a journey of self-awareness and self-improvement. We will take you deep into your mind to determine what mental blocks are that are holding you back from your true potential. You do have what it takes, and we are here to help you prove it to yourself. Welcome to Get the You Factor. This is Nicholas Fordham here with Mike Driggers. Mike, how's it going?
I am doing very well, fantastic and improving and loving life. How about you?
Oh man, it's definitely a great day. A lot of momentum going on, and man, it's nice to have the sunshine back.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's exciting because now we're almost ready to launch our membership site and all the content to allow users to get to the archived content, and you know we're getting everything in place for the show, and just we've been getting a lot of positive feedback. People have been registering. If you haven't had a chance, go to GetTheYouFactor.com and go ahead and on the top part of the page right there, you'll see the live stream, and you can register there to watch it through your computer. But also, if you want to subscribe to our show, down at the very bottom of the page is become a member by clicking here, and you can sign up and get registered for free, get to all the archives of the show. So it's, I'm excited to finally, we've been working on this for a little bit, and it's one of those things like, yeah, we're done. And Nicholas, you've done a great job. It's been
Thank you.
all on your shoulders on this side, and and you've done a great job of getting this up and ready for the world. And so yeah, I'm happy about things. I've been to Reno this week and back, and didn't gamble, but I was up there, and I was presenting up in Reno, and this coming up I've got to go to New Jersey and speak, and then to Utah, and then back home. And so just planning a lot of different activities and presentations and things for my speaking arrangements that I have. And so but it's been a great week.
Excellent. And one thing I want to point out too on the website, for those of you that like what we're doing and you want to be a guest of our show for one of our upcoming episodes, just click on the tab on the top that says upcoming episodes, and you'll be able to see exactly what's coming for one of the future episodes. And if you see an episode that you feel like you'd be a great guest for the show, send us a message on the Be a Guest page, and this will allow you to give you an opportunity to be a guest of our show and really tell the world how they can make a change in their lifestyle. Because really that's what we're all about, is helping to change people's lives one life at a time and help them find their you factor.
Absolutely. Nothing starts in life until you start, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in business, if it's in health, relationships, family, kids, whether it's in your own small business, even working out. Nothing starts in life until you. And the most difficult part of what you deal with on a daily basis are the 6 inches between one ear and the other. It's that space in between that you deal with. And that's what this show is about, to give you guidance, giving you tips and thoughts, and maybe just giving you something to think about and move forward towards learning more about that particular subject. And if you do have a talent and it fits within it, hey, we want to hear your story. We love hearing other people's stories and situations, and because this is about you, right? This is we want to know what you've done and things that have helped and overcome. And you know what? Stay tuned because we're actually going to start doing live calls here soon. We've been going through some learning experiences in the technology world, and we're getting better and better. But go ahead and submit your story and what it is that you would like to chat and be on the show, and tell us a little bit about you. And we want to get you on the show. We want you to call in and we'll talk to you, and especially around that particular topic. And as you'll see on that upcoming episodes, we have over 105 topics. So, and you know what? It doesn't have to be just one person. We may talk to two or three during that show and learn different tricks and things and techniques or experiences. The story of what your adversity or things that you've overcome. And last week we had a really good show on managing your anger. Maybe you have some experiences with that, and and what you've gone through and the change, and how did it help you in your life, and or maybe how can I do what you've asked? What are some ideas and suggestions? Maybe you're not sure on a particular topic and you'd like to find out, how can I do this? What are some ideas? And so make sure to fill out the form, and we're always open to having guests and hearing from our audience out there in radio land and TV webcast land. Hi there. And so make sure you do. And again, as I was talking about last week's show, today we kind of have a follow-up to that show, because last week was dealing with anger. Manage your anger like a pro and enjoy a happy relationships. Well, today we're going to follow up with that show and 25 ways to apologize, and we're going to talk about that as we get into the second half of the show. But as we usually start, we start with the affirmation of the day. And it comes from my book that's getting ready to hit the market. We're doing a launch of the book, and it's being distributed and so on. So it should be out there soon, along with my Entrepreneurs on Fire book that I co-authored with a couple authors and Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank. So these are going to be hitting about the same time. So, but let's go ahead and share the affirmation of the day. Nicholas, you want to go ahead and lead us on that?
Absolutely. And this comes from Mike Trigger's book, Mastering of the Mindset, The Power of Affirmations. And remember, as always, when you do these affirmations, you're going to want to look in a mirror, recite them to yourself 3 times a day, simply drop them into your subconscious so you're thinking about these affirmations without even thinking about them. And so you're going to want to do them in the bathroom, looking in the mirror. You're going to want to park your car, look in your rear view mirror, and say the affirmation. The affirmation is as follows. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
I experience limitless hope. Again, I experience limitless hope. In the past, I have sometimes been counseled to hope for the best but prepare for the worst. Regardless of my current circumstances, I choose to focus on hope. I know that by doing this, I can create what I want in my life. Sometimes unplanned situations happen to me and those I love. Life is just like that. You never know what might happen. I am confident that all of the possibilities in a given circumstance, the best will come to pass. Limitless hope is my constant companion in all situations. From time to time, challenges occur. These could be big events, like someone losing their job, or little ones, like getting the cuff of my pants soaked by stepping in a puddle. Regardless of the situation, however, I am certain that a positive future is just around the corner. I put a smile on my face and remember that the best is yet to come. I can always choose to look at my circumstances through different eyes. If I find myself thinking negatively about something, I quickly sidestep those thoughts and focus on the unlimited positive possibilities. As time goes by, I notice that I am increasingly aware of the hope I experience, rather than on any concerns or issues that may enter my mind.
This is probably one of my favorite out of the affirmations, because life is like a rushing river in a lot of ways. You throw a big boulder in there, what does the river do? It has to adjust. It has to go around the boulder. It flows in a different way. It builds up and it'll spill over the top. I mean, eventually it'll find its way and break through whatever that obstacle is. And this affirmation that I experience limitless hope is again probably one of the most powerful. I mean, you in the last couple of weeks dealt with not just one laptop being stolen. That was the first week. You get a new laptop, and then all of a sudden the second one and your cell phone and some other stuff gets stolen. And it's just like, you know, through 2 or 3 obstacles at you at once, and just like life is like chaotic, and you know, all these things going on, and you're like, my God, right in the middle of a build and the things that you're doing, you know, taking that situation and knowing that, you know what, I'm going to get past it. You know, I can't control it, so I'm not going to own it. You know, a good friend of mine, Bill Cook, taught me that lesson that, you know, when he if it's something that he can't control, right, then he doesn't stress about it, because what can he do? You know, why put that energy, that type of energy into something versus, you know, if it is something you can control, then you take care of the issue and try to resolve it and go about your day. That's where you put your energy in. And so I just love this particular affirmation. And you know, as we do each show, we have the affirmation. We also have the self-reflection questions, and we have 3 questions. And the first one is, do I experience hope spontaneously? Is my relationship with hope a result of positive or negative thoughts? Again, let me say that again. So, number 1, do I experience hope spontaneously? Is my relationship with hope a result of positive or negative thoughts? Right? Number 2, how can I cultivate more positive thinking in my life? Again, number 2, how can I cultivate more positive thinking in my life? And number 3, what changes can I make to my perspective to help my experience more hope? Right? What, again, number 3, what changes can I make to my perspective to help me experience more hope? And as you know, the quote of the day that we want you to think about as you go out there and into the world, we want you to not only think about this, but apply it to your life. And that is, hope sees the invisible, feels the intangible, and achieves the impossible. And this is from an unknown author that I had come across this quote, and I always reflect back to that, because hope is the invisible. You didn't know what do you do now? What are your options? And you know, what is it? And then it all of a sudden things fall in place to where you start feeling the intangible. And then now you got your desktops in place, but you're working on getting your new laptops and the checks from the insurance company and all that, and now it achieves the impossible to where you're back to where you were, right? And that's a good scenario as far as the quote for the day. And again, go out there and live by the affirmation and the quote. So
yeah, and in dealing with that whole situation, it was a couple of things. It's hope. It's always having that thought as an entrepreneur to continue to push forward, but at the same time too, it was looking at the situation and knowing that when things get really, really bad, that means they're about to get really, really good.
Absolutely. There's always adversity before a breakthrough. Always. The law of the world puts it in place. When you're about to have something good happen, there's always obstacles that are thrown in. And I think part of that, as I think back in my life and the things that I've tried to achieve or goals I've achieved, when these obstacles start falling in place, that means I'm closer and closer. And do you realize that most people give up just within the inches of achieving that? I mean, because they go through these obstacles and they just don't stay that course, and they don't break through. But there is a lot of things that you're being tested, because guess what? For you to have that type of success or that reward or whatever it is that's going to come to you, you have to learn how to appreciate it and what it took to get it.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because then you don't appreciate it. You don't appreciate what it took to accomplish something. A good example, and I've talked about this on previous shows, is look at folks that have won the lottery. They don't know and appreciate what it takes to make millions and millions of dollars and the type of effort. and 99% of them end up bankrupt within a couple of years because they're not, again, they didn't, it was an instant gratification, and they didn't know how to appreciate and manage it to where they didn't lose it.
Well, again, and you know, the reason they give up too is because they don't want it bad enough.
Yeah.
And you know, it makes me think about this story that, you know, I used to tell a lot when I was up doing some speaking engagements, and I forget the exact name of the author. I'll put him in his video in the members area for this page. But he told this amazing story, and it was a story about, you know, finding success. And it was about this guy, and let's just call him Mr. Successful, right? He was out doing seminars. He was living the life. And this one individual, let's call him Joe. Joe was in his seminar, and you know, was just blown away at Mr. Successful's success and the way he carried himself, the way he handled himself. And you know, he waited till the very end of the seminar, and he comes up to him and he says, Mr. Successful, he says, I want to know how to become successful. Will you teach me? And Mr. Successful looks at him and he says, absolutely. He says, I tell you what, I'm very busy. I'm limited with my time. Here's my business card. Give me a call and let's get together and I will tell you the answer to your question.
Uh-huh.
So Joe goes to sleep that night and wakes up early in the morning, calls. He gets a receptionist and she says, sorry, Mr. Successful isn't in today. He says, well, let me just leave him a message. I got his card last night. I want to set an appointment and get together with him. I want to know the answer to my question. And he doesn't call back. So the next day, Joe calls again. He gets the answering machine. The next day, the answering machine. Pretty soon, Joe gives up. He says, you know what, forget it. I don't want to become successful. So he passes out. He sleeps in. He decides, you know, success, forget it. Then all of a sudden, the next morning at 6 in the morning, his phone rings. He picks up the phone and he answers, and it's Mr. Successful on the other line. He says, is this Joe? Joe says, yeah. He says, this is Mr. Successful. I've got the answer to your question. I need you to meet me at the beach. It's about a half an hour from your house, and I need you to be there in a half an hour. So he's thinking, geez, you know, I'm going to go meet this guy. I got to get my best suit on. So he races. His heart's racing, gets his best suit on, his best shoes, races down there, and he's looking at the seconds tick down on his watch, and he gets there right on time. And he gets out and he looks down at the beach, and Mr. Successful standing there by the water. But when he starts walking towards him, every step he takes towards Mr. Successful, he backs up. And Joe's thinking, what's going on? Is he going to tell me or not? Is he playing games?
What's the deal?
Pretty soon, as he's getting closer and closer, Mr. Successful's in the water. And Joe's at the edge of the water. And he's looking down, and he's like, man, I got my best suit on, my best shoes, everything ready to go. I don't know. Do I really want to know? But he decides to take that leap of faith, and he steps into the water. And pretty soon he's face to face with Mr. Successful. And there's that weird, awkward silence for a second.
Yeah,
and then he says,
unknown.
Mr. Successful, how do I become successful? So Mr. Successful looks at him for a second and then grabs him and dunks him under the water. And Joe's thinking, what's going on? Is this guy religious? I don't even know what's going on here. Well, pretty soon, he's about to be out of breath, and he's still underwater, and he starts to struggle, and Mr. Successful isn't letting him up. And he's thinking, man, what's going on? Is this guy really not like me that much? Just before he lets out his last breath, Mr. Successful pulls him out of the water, and he says, that is how you become successful. And Joe looks at him, and he's confused. And he says, if you want success as bad as you want to breathe, then that is when you truly become successful.
Yeah, I love that story because it's how hard are you going to fight? How much are you willing to change to get where you get, right? Where it is, whatever your goal is. And, you know, I always tell people, first, in anything in life, you first have a dream, then it's a struggle, then it's victory. And those are the flow of success, right? You'll always have a dream about something. Maybe you want to change your health, right? You're losing weight. I've been working on losing my weight in the way that I eat and exercising, but mostly how I eat. So here's the dream, but then the struggle comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the struggle is that I'm used to eating this great food. I love food, right? I love eating great food, and now I have to make better choices in what I eat and how I eat, right? And when I eat. Like several times throughout the day. And then, because of that, I've started losing weight, and a lot of people are noticing it. And now I go through that victory stage, right? Which then your belief level goes up, and then you go back through this perpetual circle of starting over and keep doing that process. But it always starts with a dream, then the struggle, then the victory.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so powerful because you can apply that to anything, and that gives you hope, that gives you vision in where you're going. Matter of fact, just the fact that you want to change is the first step. That's the dream. And I want to tell you a story, because I like stories as well. And I'm going to tell you a story about an eagle. Okay, and eagles have, out of all birds, they have the longest lifespan. And I'm going to get into the details of that here in a minute. We're actually going to go ahead and go to a commercial break here, that our sponsors that pay for our show and for us to do what we do here on One Talk Network and GetTheYouFactor.com. So we'll get back to this story about the eagle and change in a minute. So we'll talk to you soon.
And when we get back, 25 ways to apologize.
They get to see no matter what,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, through breaks and everything.
Well, hey, the other thing I was going to talk to you about is the audio that's being recorded.
Yes.
They even record. You can hear everything during the break too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the audio file that I think Bill sent over on our last show, right? We'd go to break, and I didn't hear the commercials or anything like that. It was us talking. So just know
Behind
that
the scenes.
Yeah, so behind the scenes. Everybody gets behind the scenes. So we may have to edit some of those, in the future, just to have it to where,
Sure. And same thing for the video, too. We could drop in commercials and,
Yeah.
and do some interesting things.
yeah, promote the different websites and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So, what up, Captain Bill? Folks, this is Captain Bill. Say hi, Bill.
Hello.
He's the one that keeps us on track, manages us. It's like herding cats up a hill, right? And that's Captain Bill right there. He keeps us in a line. He's got this whip, right?
And he's in charge of the money, so we got to be nice to him.
Yeah. That's the other thing. He tells us when and where. We're okay. We're there. He says how high to jump. Jump.
Benjamin Franklin Carrot.
Yep. You mean Abe Lincoln, right? Oh.
Yeah, right. Abe Lincoln holding the.
Here's the thing. Hey, we do this for love, man.
Got about 60 seconds.
Oh, this was a short commercial.
Yeah, he didn't put in as many commercials.
Great.
More time to talk about 25.
Okay. We're having all kinds of challenges today, huh? Character building moments. First, our guest speaker bells out. Wasn't planning on that.
Oh, it was good.
We
Oh, someone's
adapt.
supposed to come in today?
Yeah, that guy that was here last week was going to come in and talk about apologies.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't plan for like a big show, so we're pulling stuff from left and right, but it's all our stuff.
I could say you had a little anger management issues. However, you had a client that has anger management
Yeah.
situations.
We had a client that was exhilarating great anger.
10 seconds.
Good job, sir.
Welcome back to Get the You Factor with Mike Driggers and Nicholas Fordham. So today we're talking about 25 ways to apologize. But before we get started on that, Mike's got a story about the eagle. And you know, I grew up in North Idaho, up in the mountains, up in the sticks. My best friend was a bear and a mountain lion, and you know, I'd see the moose every once in a while. And the bald eagle. There was, I remember perfectly, right by Lake Ponderay as I drive by, we're going into Sandpoint, and there was always this nest right up there on the side of the road, and I'd always look up there to see if the eagle was there, and it seemed like he was always there.
You just perched and watched him.
Flying around, his eyes looking down at us, and he knew exactly what was going on.
Huh. That's pretty cool. I was actually camping recently last year and we were out on the lake and with the kids, and we're fishing, and I see this eagle soaring around, and I'm watching it, and all of a sudden it just dove and it went right into the lake and grabbed this fish and came up with the fish out of the water.
Hmm.
It was one of the most spectacular things that I'd ever seen, you know, and I was blessed to be there at that time to see it, and the kids to see it. It was so powerful. But you know, I was getting ready to tell the story just before commercial break, and we were talking about, you know, change, right? And people have to want to change and go through change. And the story is about the eagle, because the eagle has the longest bird life of any type of bird out there, right? They have the longest lifespan. But for them to live, which they can live up to 70 years, and for them to reach this, they have to make some really difficult decisions, and they're hard decisions to be able to live the age of 70 years, right? Matter of fact, in its 40s, what happens is its long and flexible talons can no longer grab prey, which serve as food. Then its long and sharp beak becomes bent to where they cannot eat, right? Its old, aged, and heavy wings, due to their thick feathers, become stuck to its chest, and it makes it very difficult for the eagle to fly. And then at that point, the eagle is left with only two options: either to choose to die or go through a painful process of change which lasts 150 days.
Hmm.
And once they've made that decision to live, the process requires that the eagle fly to the highest mountaintop and sit on its nest. It then, the eagle knocks its beak against the rock until it breaks. And at that point, after plucking, his beak has grown back, it'll start plucking out the talons and on the feet to let him grow back, right? So he's gone through the stages of breaking his beak. Now he's pulling out his talons to let him grow back, and then after both of those have grown back, then he starts using that to pick out the old feathers and kind of, you know, pulling out the bad feathers and getting it thinned out, kind of like a haircut, right? The eagle has to go through that. Once they've done that, it takes 5 months. After 5 months, the eagle takes its famous flight of rebirth and lives for another 30 years to be able to live. And so, you know, why is change needed, right? Many times, in order to survive, we have to start the change process, right? We have to go through change. We sometimes need to get rid of the old memories and habits and other past traditions. Only freed from past burdens can we take advantage of the present, right? And again, going back to that dream, struggle, and victory. Here's a perfect example. The bird, the eagle, wants to live longer. It could choose to die, but it wants to live longer. So it has to go through the struggle, and then it has victory and lives another 40 years. So
Wow, that's kind of like the rise of the phoenix. That's an amazing story.
yeah, it's pretty incredible, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I've done that particular presentation and for folks, and I've seen people tear up, you know, from it, because it's so powerful. And it's true, because you think about in life and the things that you've experienced. A lot of times, you hold on to things, and we talked about anger last week. Holding on to anger, how it can destroy your body, right? It can destroy your mind. It's poison. And so today, as we talked through the show, is that, and it's kind of a carry on from last week's show, is, you know, 25 ways to apologize. You know what? In most of our experience, there's been plenty of situations where I found myself that necessary to apologize because I knew I was wrong, but because of a male ego, right, or because I didn't want to be wrong earlier in my life, I would fight, or I would do something that wasn't right, knowing in my heart that it was wrong. And even though when you find it difficult or something to apologize, what you don't realize is what happens to the body when you accept that you were wrong, but you don't take and apologize to that person. You know, I talked about how, you know, when you do things on the last week's show, we talked about when when you do things out of anger or something and it hurts somebody, it's like driving a nail into a fence. When you apologize, it's taking that nail out of defense, but there's always that hole there, right? And the key is recognizing and learning from that. And then how do you go about apologizing? You know, the first thing is having the attitude of ownership. I think that's really critical to recognize and know, you know what I'm doing or what I'm saying is wrong. And I need to take acceptance to that. And I need to go to that person or that anybody, individuals or whoever, and apologize. And that's the next step, is really the willingness to sit with your wrong, because once you let it go, you need to apologize to yourself first, that I'm sorry that I'm this type of person, or I did this type of action to someone, and I need to fix it within me and learn to recognize and control that. You know what I just did, I shouldn't have done, and you know, before I go there, let me stop and let's get back onto track. And you know, and you talk and you recognize it, right? And you stop and say, that's not true. It's not really how I feel. Let me share with you, right? And a lot of times it's that action, right? The next step. So how do you apologize? What are some ways that, you know, because some people, they're kind of embarrassed, right? To go apologize, and you know, and they may want to apologize because they misunderstood, or maybe they disagreed and said something they should have out of anger, which is what we talked about last week. And you know, you never want to underestimate the value of an apology, because it can really bond a relationship. It changes, because if that person holds that anger and walks away with whatever happened, then it starts to create resentment. And when resentment's created, then it's easy to dislike somebody or a situation. And so there's nothing wrong with apologizing. You know, when I was younger, growing up, I thought of, you know, because I was a guy, I was around a lot of really strong male influences, and you know, and it wasn't cool for a man to cry, right? And this was the mentality back in. It wasn't cool to be wrong, right? And so that's the mentality that I grew up and with certain folks. And so I've learned over time that mentality is a disease. It deteriorates. It eliminates friends. It breaks down your mind. All kinds of things that it does. So let's talk about some tips. What are some ways that you think, Nicholas, is a way to maybe apologize?
Well, you know, you're absolutely right in talking about that, because a lot of people, they're afraid to accept responsibility for their own actions.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid to admit to themselves that they did those actions, and so that's why the apology is so hard. But you know, the first thing I would do is, if the person that, you know, you've offended is, you know, in a different place, a different city or state, then give them a phone call, have a conversation with them. You know,
Yeah, and the sooner you do it, the better, right?
yeah, you know, create a dinner, go have dinner together, and make sure you're set in an environment where it's just you and that other person, and that you're truly apologizing, not something to where, you know, you just send them a message on Facebook, hey, sorry for that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a quick apology. And even like in apologies, right? I may get in a disagreement with Gabby, and you need to recognize this too, because you may be right in
Yeah.
your mind. She feels right in her mind, but you may be willing to give up and say, and again, there's that word, give up, right? It's not a matter of give it up. Look, we can have a reality of, if we can both be able to both agree to disagree on something, but what you do and how you take care of it, or how your actions around it, is what you don't want to be doing. You don't want to get mad and yell and scream. But if you do know you're doing something wrong, right then and there, you want to apologize and say, but because you don't want to do it in a way that you just apologize because you don't want to argue anymore, or you don't want to hear it, because it's easier to walk away from the situation. Because here's what happens: that person knows They know because of your body tone, the way you're at in your gestures and your affection. You know, you go over and kiss your wife and give her a real quick pet, right? And it's not sincere. The apology is not sincere, and people can tell that, right? They can tell when you're not being sincere, if it's just a cover up. And when you walk away, who did you hurt? Not only did you hurt the person that you were apologizing to, but you also hurt you.
Yep.
Because you're going to carry that anger, thinking, oh, she just wants to rag on me, or she's just wanting to, just be, she's in a bad mood, or whatever reason you want to justify why it's okay to walk away from the situation versus working it out. And that goes with business, right? That goes with anything in life. You need to have that and the ability to just recognize it and apologize. And a lot of people, they ask the question, do apologies serve as a useful purpose? In my mind, I believe 100%. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But you got to know when to apologize, because you don't want to be that person that just runs and apologizes
Every
about
single
everything.
time. Right.
But you also got to know when to apologize, because this goes perfect with the last show that we have. Sometimes rage and anger blinds you from seeing the reality of what's really going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you follow the methods that we taught in this last show about waiting until that rage that's at a 4 or a 7 or whatever goes down to a 1, and you can truly communicate with each other about the situation after you've gone through that communication process, then you can determine if it's the right time to apologize. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the right time to apologize.
Well, and think about it. Most of the time, the reason why we have to apologize is because of circumstances of miscommunication, anger, right, and not accepting that you're wrong. It's easier to say, "Oh no, I'm always right," and where it comes from is our childhood, right? As we grow up as kids, "Oh no, I didn't do it. Oh, it wasn't me. No, I didn't take the cookie from the cookie jar," right?
And usually I was the one who did.
Yeah, and you were the one. "Oh, I didn't leave the toothpaste cap on." I can't tell you how many times my kids, "Oh, I didn't."
No, it was my sister.
Yeah, that's my shoe. Yeah, I didn't leave it there, right? And so you do, and it comes from that where you think it's wrong to be wrong, right? And instead of accepting it and moving forward. And so there's even been studies that have shown that when people apologize, especially in business, when somebody comes back with a sincere apology and recognizes that maybe they were wrong, then the other party in business is willing to forgive and continue to work. In a lot of cases, they did this study and talked about it. So of course apologies do help, and they are useful, and it lets people know that, hey, you do care about the relationship, right? And I agree, you don't want to overdo it where you're like, I'm sorry. And if you're doing the same thing over and over and over, that definition, expect things to change, right? The
It's like the
definition
boy
of
who cried
insanity.
wolf.
Yeah. Well, the definition of sanity, right? Keep doing things over and over and expect different results,
Mhm.
right? And so if you're apologizing for the same things, there's a problem.
Yep.
You got to recognize it and fix it. So we're going to go to a commercial break right now. We want to thank you for taking the time here. We're going to come back in real quick to go through the other 25 ways to apologize. There's some very creative ways. We're going to talk about that here on One Talk Network. And GetTheYouFactor.com. Make sure you go there and register and be part of our membership to where you can get the past recordings and the future recordings through GetTheYouFactor.com. So
We'll see you after these messages.
after this message. Bye-bye. Okay. Hello there in webcast land. I hope you're enjoying the show.
Get the you factor.
Right? And we're Easter colors.
Yeah, you like that?
You like that?
Mhm.
Green.
Oh,
pink.
that's real, man.
Yeah, you like that?
She can't pinch me.
No.
Green and pink.
It's the Irish.
Might say, you know, they download the workbook
Mhm.
on the website, get on catch it all.
Okay.
I'm excited to get this thing up.
Yeah,
And
me
then we
too.
and then we get it, like I said, we start blasting it out there. We need to get the audios on the podcast.
And what a deal, man! $97 a year and all this content. I mean,
Yep. Yep.
dude, this is like hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars of content and
Each-
education.
Each one of these courses is at least $497.
We're giving it away.
Yeah.
We're changing lives. Here, get the U Factor. You hear that?
Yeah. We're changing lives. So.
Did the money man agree to that?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
sorry,
Oh, no,
sorry,
I
sorry.
agree.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, it was in the memo you sent.
Didn't you hear we're a nonprofit?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we are. Are these commercials long?
Yeah, got a bit over 2 minutes.
The other one was a minute. Now we got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Ready to rock.
Now I remember why. It was kind of nice not having a phone.
Oh, yeah, everybody blows it up.
Oh man, every 2 seconds.
You know, when you unplug, it just in the first couple of days you start having withdrawals, and then as you get through it, then you're
It's
like,
ah.
oh, this is cool. You know, I don't have to report to anybody. I don't have to. Meanwhile, everybody on the other end are pulling their hair out.
I kind of
right?
disappeared for a little while.
Yeah.
Where's Nick? I don't know.
How do we get home? I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, life stops.
And then I had to apologize.
Yeah, there you go.
Only 20 ways instead of 25, right?
Got about 45 seconds.
45.
It's funny, it's like I'm doing the same stuff I do every time you guys are here, but like now that Don's not here, it's like for the first time, like alone, I'm just kind of like, am I doing this right?
Yeah, you're
Oh,
not
yeah.
sure, right? Yeah.
You're doing a great job, man.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely a great job.
Appreciate that.
We're honored to have you as a part of the team.
That's right.
Yeah, it's having a blast.
Our engineer man.
15 seconds.
Welcome back to Get the U Factor with Mike Driggers and Nicholas Fordham. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry you haven't gone to GetTheYouFactor.com yet. Today, we're talking about 25 ways to apologize. And we just went over, making a phone call. You know, when you've got to apologize, do it now. Don't wait. The sooner you do it, the better. And, the next thing that we talk about is writing a letter. You know, sometimes when things build up over a period of time and it just gets to that point where having a conversation really won't do the right apology, and it needs to come from the heart.
Right. And sometimes those people won't even answer your calls. Like it's gotten to a point where it just has gotten bad.
Yep.
You know, sending a letter, you can pour your heart into a letter a lot easier than, because have you ever tried to do that? Like you're in a situation, you're trying to apologize, and it seems like you're just not coming across with the right words or the situation. Well, with a letter, you can write it out and then erase something and then add in what your true heart and feelings mean. And so I think that's a great way of communicating, because that person don't want to talk. They hang up on you. They don't want to have a conversation. And you know what? They may not accept your apology right away, but in your heart, you're okay with it because you did what you needed to do to release that built up frustration and all that stuff that's within you that you have to deal with and think about. Because when you dwell on the negativity, that's what you're bringing into your life, and so you just need to get rid of it.
Absolutely. And, just this last week on Facebook, my cousin was very frustrated at her neighbors, and she was ranting and raving on Facebook and called their landlord and was ready to get him evicted. And they apologized by sending a greeting card with I believe it was a Starbucks gift card. So sometimes that'll get to someone's heart.
And that's pretty cool because you think about it. Send a greeting card, right? Maybe you don't have the words for it
Mhm.
or what to say sorry, so it's easy to go find a card that does the apology. But throwing in a Starbucks card, everybody loves Starbucks, and you know what it did is it built a bond, a
Yes.
relationship. Because I'm sure she forgave her neighbors and thought, that's pretty cool. Maybe I was being too harsh, right? You start thinking about it, and then this relationship starts building.
Yep.
And an appreciation, and and that's a good example, even in business, right? Maybe something didn't go wrong, or you're thinking that the business is contract, whatever type of situation. Just sending a card saying, hey, thank you. I'm sorry if I did something, or maybe I wasn't open, or something that changes the way someone's thinking about you. That always helps.
Now, what if you're afraid to call somebody because you know it's going to get chaotic over the phone?
Right.
Send them a text message.
Well-
Say what you need to say in a quick text message, and then follow that up with a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of today people texting people to break up through text, right? That's crazy. But
Or on Facebook.
or on Facebook, right? They don't do it in person. So listen, if you're afraid to speak to the person, I agree. Use a text message, or even like Snapchat or Instagram. Maybe not so much Instagram, but Snapchat you can send to somebody. But even like the video where you can videotape yourself and video with your phone,
Mm-hmm.
right? The reverse where it looks at you versus outward, and apologize to the phone and send them that video, right? That would be kind of cool.
Now, what about some creative ways to apologize?
Absolutely.
Have you ever sent a singing telegram?
No, but that would be pretty cool.
That makes me think about talking someone into, maybe a friend of mine or something, doing something goofy, showing up with a singing telegram, and maybe I got them some sort of a costume from downtown in Sacramento, and sent them in there with the costume singing a song.
Yeah, exactly, and have them sing to them saying, "I am sorry," or whatever, right? I think that's a good way, but make sure you also do it in a way that's not going to be offensive to them, right? You want to make sure it's in an environment that's safe, and you don't want to embarrass them because it could put it in a different situation where now they even explode. So maybe at their house or in a way that hey, I'm here to do a singing telegram for you, just to apologize.
Maybe it's an office, and you've frustrated an entire office.
Yeah,
you
you could
could
do it that.
cater lunch to them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Have a paid for lunch delivered.
Who doesn't like free lunch?
Right, and add at the bottom like an apology note, right, at the bottom, and you can whether on the napkins, right, you can write on the napkins, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, right, and on these napkins, and so people say, just being creative.
Or like my daughter, right? I've gotten frustrated at her sometimes, and I'll show back up with candy.
Yeah.
She likes those little candy necklaces, and she'll munch on them, and
Sure.
you've got to show that extra little edge with your apologies.
Yeah, you can even do jewelry, right, for your girlfriend or your mom or someone like that you did something. Showing up with jewelry is always a good thing to just say, hey, I'm sorry, and I was thinking about you, and here's a special gift, from me.
Or if it's someone that is close to you, you might be able to have a spare key to their car, and you send over a detailer to go detail their car while they're working.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that my daughter does is, and she does this with Christmas, she creates this coupon book,
Mhm.
right? That she'll do the dishes, she'll watch the kids, or whatever. Well, you could do the same thing with an apology coupon book, right? Get creative, and here's 5 favors I can do for you as a person. It's an apology book. I'm sorry, and so you can use these favors anytime, right? Get creative, right, with your kids or your spouse, or you may not want to do that to your boss, but who knows? Maybe you do. I don't know. But on the coupons, state what you'll do to apologize, right? What are you willing to do to apologize, and let them know, they can redeem these anytime, right? Maybe go get you coffee, maybe maybe it's vacuum the house, maybe it is wash the car,
Or if
right?
it's your girlfriend, a massage.
Yeah, massage, right? Which could lead to happy times, right, with each other. Who knows, right?
And so does cooking a special dinner after an apology.
Yes, absolutely, and that's always good. You just want to make sure that the temperatures has reduced down so that they're not mad and angry when they come home. And it may be a way to throw them off, right? A pattern interrupt that sometimes helps, where you can take someone's attention away from what they were focused on, and it's done in marketing and things of that nature. But you could also plan a special day and pick them up, right? I call the boss and say, hey, you know, I'm gonna go by and pick up my wife at her, her boss, right? And call him up and you say, listen, I'm gonna have Gabby take the day off early, and I'm gonna come by and pick her up. I don't want her to know, and we're gonna go do a special
Surprises.
trip, right? A surprise trip. You could do that.
Most importantly, you want to open your heart.
Absolutely. Honestly, having that open, honestly, heart, um, keeping it open to really letting it pour out, right? Let yourself, and, folks, don't feel about, being vulnerable. Listen, if someone wants to take advantage of your vulnerability, then you need to rethink about the relationship, right?
Yep.
And that's how I would feel. But and you need to admit that you're disappointed in how you handle things, and that you're going to work on it. It's one thing to apologize, but also what you're going to do to fix it, right? And I think that's important.
And the approach has to come with positivity. When you're doing the apology, don't back it up with, hey, I'm sorry, that really frustrated me.
Yeah, and sometimes the best approach is to be simple and direct,
Mm-hmm.
right? And especially when you know right then and there, you know what, listen, that's not right, that's not how I feel, I'm sorry.
Or add a little comedy to it. Write a poem and throw some comedy in there.
Absolutely. You can do a lot of things, right, in that area. Read a poem, having that type of comedy to lighten up the mood, right? You could do it right then and there. There's a lot of different ways to handle that. And, even breaking up that tension and fighting and anger. I had gone to this program and studied a kind of an anger management type class, and I was talking to the professor, and during his teachings, he had talked about that if a husband and wife are fighting, right? If you want to break it up and you want to stop the fighting, right, to break the tension, like you're sorry, but she keeps coming at you or whatever, or vice versa, start taking off your clothes all the way to the nude. It's hard to argue when you're naked,
Right?
right? It's really hard. So, and of course you want to do this with your spouse or significant other, but it changes the mood. It changes the conversation. It becomes more laughter. Like, I can't talk to you when you're standing there completely nude, right? So,
And really this episode is to tell you that it's okay to say I'm sorry. It's okay to make that apology, and when you do, get creative with it.
yeah,
Do something out of the norm, and make sure that it's sincere. Make an effort to make a difference in your life by getting over that negative tension, that negative feeling, the negative animosity that may be going on in your relationship or your friendship or between you and another business, and get that block out of the way. Because what happens is that is a mental block that blocks you from accomplishing what you really want to do in life. It slows you down. You may not know it, but subconsciously that negative feeling is there. And so by going and doing the apology, by accepting the fact that you were wrong in that certain situation, and by letting the other party know that you accept that you're wrong, it makes a big difference. And it releases those tensions and those blocks and those negative feelings, and it allows you to move on with your life at a much more rapid rate.
especially in work, right? You may be on a project and you're working with a team, and you did something that now the team's maybe you said something, maybe you slammed something and it created tension, a lot of things. And what happens, like you said, it creates this block of moving forward, right? It keeps you from really going to the next level with that project. And so when you do apologize and you say, look, what I did was wrong, and I'm sorry, it now opens up that project to do whatever it is that you need to do. Maybe you yelled at somebody and you shouldn't have, right? And here's the other thing is that make sure that you're apologizing to everyone involved, because you could yell at somebody in front of people, and you take that person and you apologize to them, but it's not just them, it's the other people that had to experience that because they've seen a side that they maybe didn't like about you, or saw that, or didn't want to be in that. A lot of people don't like conflict, right? And the fact that they had to deal with that because they were there at the moment. You've got to apologize to them too and recognize who I need to apologize. But most important, folks, is you've got to learn to recognize and then do not repeat, right? Don't be a repeater of the same actions or the things that you do. Work on controlling that, and that goes back to our show last week about the anger management, because we talked about where that comes from. It comes from frustration, miscommunication, right? Anger, and so you've got to learn to let it go.
And here's why. Some people say, well, it happened in business. I'm probably not going to run into that person again. Well, guess what? You will. This world is a lot smaller than we all think.
Absolutely.
And, when you burn a bridge, when you've caused some frustration or some chaos, guess what? 9 times out of 10, you're going to run into that person again, and you're going to be in an awkward situation.
Well, not only that, the person that you had that conflict with, or you did something, they may run into somebody that or that they found out that you're in business with or whatever, and guess what they're going to share with?
Yep.
You may want to rethink about so-and-so because of this is what happened, right? And so, people will start sharing with others, and you may not even know it. A lot of people out there may be jealous of you, and so it's a way for them to bring you down is by sharing to others why they shouldn't be associated with you or working with you. There's different reasons for that. So again, it's okay to apologize, right?
I really enjoyed this show, and really the next show is where we start to rebuild yourself. We went through anger and helping to cope with your anger, working your way through the anger, and being able to manage that anger like a pro. And today's show was 25 ways to apologize. So next week, we're going to go into 25 elements of an emotionally healthy life. So now you can go in, repair yourself, and repair some of those holes that are in the fence. Get out that putty and start filling it up.
Absolutely.
Because, no matter how many holes are there, it's repairable.
It is. And if you don't repair them, if you're not willing to step and apologize, it weakens the fence.
Mm-hmm.
And then the relationship starts to fall apart because there's a bunch of holes in it. So how can you expect a relationship to keep moving forward? How do you expect a fence to stay up when it's got nothing but holes?
Absolutely correct. So thank you guys for listening to Get the You Factor here on One Talk Network and One Music Network. And again, Get the You Factor is all about awakening the inner you. Throughout the course of our educational radio video broadcast, combined with our online educational material and workshops, you will discover what has been hiding inside of you all along. Our program is built specifically for you to help you get what you want out of life. You will be presented with key fundamentals that will guide you through anything in life and help you to respond in a different way, a new way, a way you factor to be the best possible way for you. Resolve to make a revolution in your resolution. Set goals you can and will achieve. Discover a champion's mindset. Master persistence and pursue your passions. Empower your life with honesty and integrity. Manifest your reality with daily thoughts of action. Perception and awareness around you will flow with positivity. visualize your destiny, and go out and get it. It is our goal to change your life and the lives of those around you by empowering you with the knowledge to get exactly what you desire. We know we can't change you or your habits or actions. All we can do is to provide you with everything you need to make that change. At the end of the day, it is up to you, and we are here to help. So now it is your decision to take decisive action and get the you factor. Woo!
Rock-ons. Good show.
That was a great show.
Yeah.
You made it.
Oh, yeah.